Test 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Testing the audio, the sounds, the video, testing everything. See how it all looks, how it all comes out. I was going through the Gray Shame chapter, which is pretty much an extended version of the chapter, of the article that I did way back, my first article on the David Crowley case. It was an interesting article. I think a lot of it was kind of meshed, but the point of that article was to try to create a timeline for the last year of everything that David Crowley posted on social media, trying to find all of his quotes, all of the relevant quotes. And as I'm going back through this chapter, through the Gray Shame chapter, which now looks like I'm going to put it towards the end of my book, I'm getting frustrated all over again. All of those feelings that I first had, all the questions that I first had are now all coming back to this same point here. And I was specifically looking at March 19th of 2014. And we have all the screenshots of all this stuff too. Hey, what's up, Butterfly Kisses? How's it going? Thanks for joining me here. Not sure how the audio is, the videos, the lighting is probably kind of bad, but I just want to get just testing all of this stuff out here to see what's going on. Haven't done a live video in a long time, so, but I was going through all this stuff and I was trying to figure out, because 2014, a lot of things changed, right? Everything really changed. Thanks, Deb, I appreciate that. March 11th, 2014, David starts to unsubscribe, or he's posting. He asks, you know what liberty feels like? And then he says, unsubscribing from hundreds of liberty or death, fuck the NWO pages and Twitter accounts. This was an interesting thing even back in 2015. And that was the first thing that we did. The first thing that a lot of people did was go through all of the social media posts and try to capture them, try to screen capture them so that we had them later on. Because there were two that were missing, two that I don't know if they're even out there now, but last I checked, there were two missing, one from December 9th and I believe one from September 30th. So let's see, so March 19th, 2014 is a very, very important date, because this is when David publicly states on Facebook, probably on social media. I think he posts, if it posts on Facebook, it posts on Twitter, posts on Instagram, all that good stuff. But he's basically saying here that there is a new story starting March 19th, 2014. And this is leading into the summer where a lot of things are going to change, right? A lot of things are going to change for David for this Gray State project. And there are some subtle hints that David mentions about the project being moved from a movie into a web series or a TV series. He specifically mentions that stuff here. He's not really talking about anybody else. He's not talking about Danny Mason. He's not talking about anybody else that's involved in this at that level, I guess. But what he's saying here on March 19, 2014 is that the first Gray State story took him 8 months of solid work, but the new story took less than 2, and it's quoted here, and is better in every way. Now, March 22nd, 2014, Kamel is reading the first draft of the new manuscript. So at this point, it has not been made into a TV series. I think the TV series thing really starts to build around September 30th. So I'm going to jump ahead to that. But on May 22nd, this is when David says that his dream has finally come true. His dream became a reality, May 22nd. This was his first trip out to Hollywood to meet with some producers. And he writes, Gray State will be optioned in the next 2 weeks at a major budget and connected with A-list talent. We are connected with a producer who, above all else, wants to preserve the film's pro-liberty ideals. This is all we could have asked for and more. Thank you all for being our strongest selling point. Let's make a movie. And then we know what happens during the summer, right? There's this tension, especially in August. There's this big tension about everything. But regardless, September 30th is another very important day where David spends 20 minutes, close to 20 minutes from what he says here, answering questions about Gray State. People are getting frustrated, and you can see that. They've been frustrated. Some have been frustrated since 2012. It's like, well, you made this great trailer. 2013, the movie should be out. 2014, it's on DVD, blah, blah, blah. None of that has happened here, right? So David, somebody says, hey, it's taken you 3 years. And David's like, no, it's taken much longer. We're talking close to 4 years. He started this, from what he's saying, in 2010. So, let's see. September 30th, though, he writes here, the first visible beginnings of the Gray State resurrection. It's a whole nother thing. And he's talking about rebuilding a trustworthy team. It's not clear who is going to be on that trustworthy team, who is going to be on that new team, but we still know at this point David is trying to wrestle away the rights of the Gray State from Danny Mason. There's no doubt about that. Unless you were living back then. And see, that's why looking at this stuff now is like, what the hell? There was a lot of stuff that they tried to hide. They just tried to hide. A lot of people just tried to hide stuff from us, and there was no reason for that. So I think that pissed off a lot of people. I read the social media stuff, and I get pissed off because I can see a lot of things in here now that I didn't see then. So hello everybody. Thank you for joining me here again. I'm just testing, just running this out, and seeing how this is. Don't have my microphone today, but wanted to test this without the microphone. I know I speak low. I generally speak low, so I'm gonna try to speak up a little higher here. But let's see. So quickly wrapping up here, staying on September 30th, 2014. If it's still there, if you have a chance to go through David's posts from 2014, please do. Screenshot it all. I've screenshot as much as I possibly could. There are two things that are missing, two screenshots, two posts that were taken out after David's death, and still no reason why that was done, who did that, etc., etc. But September 30th, 2014 is a big, big day for David. This is his day. This is the time where he is going to, from what I'm gathering, looking at this is why the timeline really helps. Looking at what David is writing here in September 30th, 2014, you can clearly see at this point, everything has changed. This is not a movie. Gray State is no longer a movie. This is going to be a TV show. This is going to be a web series. The movie's out. The movie's done. Where that puts Danny Mason and Mitch Heil and everybody else involved, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure that if David is working with a big Hollywood company, he's probably not going to be working with those guys. And their name is not on any other paperwork. It's not. Now, maybe he'll be able to bring them in, like he's saying, at certain points. But it doesn't sound like that went over very well with certain people. So, and he even talks about turning the Gray State into a TV series. He writes here, a series which could be produced and released way faster than a film, has the potential to subvert the system. How can it not? Sorry guys, but Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, while entertaining, lack a real-world purpose. That struck me very hard, even way back in 2015 when I read this. And he says, Gray State will not fail you. How could it? Death. Death of the creators, how? That's all I got for you. The big budget money, so he talks about big budget money, but if it needs to go into a low budget film, he sounds like he's cool with that too. Now, we know about the October thing. That's when the Sidra comes, tries to get the car, gets one of the cars, all this stuff. Sidra can't talk to her sister. David, there's all these theories. David is keeping them secluded from everybody, hiding from everybody, whatever you want to think. But he's active on social media. He's active with certain people. It's certain people he's not talking to, certain people he's not communicating with. I don't believe that that means that he distanced himself from everybody, that he went into this dark place that the Apple Valley police try to tell us. He goes into this dark place and that's it, right? Well, if you go into this dark place, it's going to take you down this road. Really? Come on. Nobody's buying that. So the October 27th, 2014, he contacts David Kirk West. Now, this is important here, and I'm going to pull this up if I have it here. Just rereading this and getting all this ready for the book was just like, man, this is crazy. Let's see, give me 1 second. David Kirk West, let's see, where is it? I went back and tried to find the article because I have a couple quotes from David Kirk West. I can't find the original article. I don't know if it's been taken down or what, but David Crowley contacts David Kirk West, and it sounds like David is saying, hey, we're going to turn this into a TV series. I'd like you to be a producer. And here's exactly what he says on October 27th. This is David Crowley sending a private email to David Kirk West, or to David Kirk West on Facebook. It might be Facebook Messenger. And David Crowley says, I like your operation, ethics, friends, and location. When I put together the Gray State web series and shoot nationwide, would you want to produce for the Northwest? That's a very interesting conversation there. Now, not having access to this conversation in 2015 and just going by whatever Kirk West wanted to tell us or wanted to say, that's all you can really do. And again, David Kirk West is another guy who believes David Crowley is guilty. It's supposed to be one of his close friends, all that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. But hey, just decides to off his family and that's it. This is just one of many things that show that David Crowley is planning for the future constantly. He is planning for the future. There's no doubt in that. For whatever reason, David Kirk West, I believe he was interviewed. I don't know if it was a Pioneer Press article or if he wrote some article that I found somewhere, whatever it was. David Kirk West is saying that sometime between November and December of 2014, West believes that David was unfriending many people on social media, quote, for seemingly no reason. No reason. People don't generally just stop unfriending people for no reason. No reason is always a reason. There's always a reason. The reason could be simple. Maybe they just, hey, their friends are filling up. Facebook only allows you 5,000 friends. I don't know about Twitter or any of this other stuff, but there was a reason. To say that there was not a reason why David was unfriending people is just ridiculous. David goes back and says that. I mean, on, what was it, back in March, David was saying he was unsubscribing from all of these conspiracy theory sites and the NWO sites, all that stuff, right? So it should not be a surprise. And what's interesting is David said that in March. David Kirk West is talking about something that happened between November and December. This is very important stuff because these are the last months of David's life. What was this other one? Let's see. Anything else? I mean, I was just so frustrated with some of this stuff that I was going back and reading, so hope to put together a nice concise style, a nice concise story here. So there's no doubt that the rise was going to be free, because at that time we had some people telling us that the rise was not going to be free, that they were going to do something with it. We know ultimately it is out there, it is free. The rough cut version, there is no finalized version that David finished. There is the finalized version that the Gray State team finished, but that is not David's work. So let's see. So the December 9th, 2014 post by David Crowley, this is the big one. This is the one makes absolutely no sense why this was taken out and why police have never mentioned it, why this was never mentioned. This is in the police documents. They took screenshots going back from, I think, back to 2007 or 2010. The police in their files have the screenshots of David's social media. They have this particular screenshot on December 9th, 2014, that will lead to the comment where Sean Wright talks about his tax stuff. It all goes back there. That was taken out. There's no logical reason why anybody would have taken that out. The police do not mention it. The police give, in the police reports, in the 94 pages, you will find one thing about Sean Wright, right? And it shows his age, his weight, all that stuff, just all the background stuff. Nothing in the supplemental reports. Nothing else is mentioned about him. Why not? Every other person that has their name, their driver's license, all this other stuff, they're all mentioned. They all were spoken to. Are we to believe that Sean Wright's name is in the 94 pages, but he was never spoken to? And if he was spoken to, why isn't his, what he was telling the police, why isn't it in the 94 pages? And you can ask the same question about Mason Hendricks, the exact same thing. Only difference is Mason Hendricks is not even mentioned at all. His name is not in those 94 pages. Sean Wright's is. So that I found very, very odd. That did not resonate with me then. I still don't understand it now. I don't understand why it was never followed up. Why was that post taken out? Who took it out? So here's the post. David Crowley writes, "Can you believe it? The rise is almost done. I'm serious. She's coming out to be quite the looker. Can't wait to show you all, but I have to comb her hair for a few more weeks. Anyway, I'm quite serious about giving this film away. I have come to abhor the AJ model of peddling DVDs as truth and cashing in on suckers. I have given this film years of my life, and I am delighted for the opportunity to burn it down by giving it away. And I hope you all share this feeling. You've all given this project a lot of attention, and I thank you. Soon it will be time to go live, and we'll get to watch it all unfold." Now, it'd be one thing to remove a comment underneath this post. This whole post, gone. Completely gone. This is the one where Sean Wright talks about his tax stuff and is telling David, you need to contact me. Let's go, let me actually read that one. So, Sean Wright, this is where he writes, under that post, "You need to call me. I'm all good with getting out free. Intact, I brought that up. But if it's released before my court date, you may send me to prison instead of beating my case. For real, though, David Crowley, call me." And Sean Wright puts his phone number in this public comment where the public can see it. That's desperation. It seems like an act of clear desperation to me. Sean, tax stuff is in the leaked version of Gray State, The Rise, in the rough cut. It's not in the final cut. You're not going to find it there. Gee, I wonder why. Well, because he was involved, him and Mason Hendricks and whoever else, they were involved in the I don't even want to call it the final cut. It's not even David's movie. They'll tell you that it is, that all they did was look at David's timeline, piece it together, and this and that. It's their interpretation of David's movie. Guys who didn't have his phone number, who hadn't talked with him, who were not close with him, connected with him in that way. So David answers, and he says, this movie is meant to send other people to prison, basically. What's weird is in this quote can be found in the PDF that we have, the 485-page PDF. And you can see that somebody kind of squiggles out Sean Wright's name. You can still kind of tell that it's him. And then David also says Sean in his answer. Now, 2014, September of 2014, this is when David Crowley and the Michael Entertainment Group, they're turning the Gray State Project into a TV series. This is also when David Crowley is talking with Jason Allen. I think Jason Allen is the conduit between David Crowley and Michael Entertainment Group. I don't know why that would be a big secret, and it's just a guess, but that's what I think. And maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but this is all happening around the same time. And Jason Allen tells the Pioneer Press that David Crowley was very much excited about the release of this documentary. Now, this email exchange, which Dan Hennon did get, I believe it's in the group file section. It's in my research file as well, so we have this. It's important to read this stuff for yourself and not just, believe what anybody else thinks is true. But the email exchange also revealed the rising interest in the Gray State Project. This is what David Crowley tells Jason Allen. Remember, this is late September 2014, almost October. He says, Gray State fans are growing at a rate of 100 to 200 per day, even now. And when I get started, I can only expect they'll keep coming. David asked Jason Allen to be an executive producer for Gray State, but before Allen could respond to that request, the deceased Crowley was already being accused of a double murder-suicide. Now, Allen found it hard to believe that David Crowley would murder his wife and child before taking his own life. Here's what Jason Allen wrote. Jason Allen is a Hollywood producer of some kind. And Jason Allen writes, David had this consistency and this very steady way about him. In many ways, it felt very contradictory to the actions of a murder-suicide. I truly saw an optimism to it. Doesn't sound like somebody who's planning to off himself. Sounds like somebody who has everything going for him. Time and time again, we see that. We saw that way back then. And the more that I circle back, you keep seeing it. You keep seeing it. You don't see the motivation. It looks staged. I agree, Seismatic. It looks staged. I'm not going to say that it is staged or that it was staged or whatever, but yes, it looks staged. And no matter how you view it, even if you think David Crowley did it, it is a staged scene. The scene was staged. Either he staged it or somebody else did. I will say that. And then the Gray State, there is a post on December 25th that is very interesting as well. But these December 9th and then December 17th, where he all this way, December 17th, David Crowley is talking about his project. He's not hiding. He's not going into a dark place. He's not secluding himself from everyone. The people that will tell you he's secluding himself from everyone have either been told that, or David Crowley secluded himself from them. But it's not from everyone. I think that needs to be very, very clear. So in the first hour of December 25th, 2014, Gray State The Rise posted a link to the Patriot Guild Facebook page with the following comment: an excellent group page run by some real patriots that are close friends of ours. Make sure to give them a like. So this is probably David's last post before he died, if in fact it was David Crowley posting as Gray State The Rise. But this is a last public thing that you'll see, that I've seen out there. Sorry, somebody's vacuuming upstairs. Perfect timing too. It's great. Love it. That's what happens when you try to go live. That's why the microphone. I'm gonna test that too and see how well that picks it up. But staged is the word that would happen. Yeah, it could be. Could be, man. Something's going on. What I know is that we don't know the truth as far as what the official story tells us. It's not the truth. It can't be the truth. There's way so much more. Thanks, Stacy. Appreciate that. So here's an interesting one. We're still on December 25th, 2014. And somebody says, this is why we think it's David. It's all coming back to me now. I wrote this a long time ago, right? In the comment section, someone asked David, or asked the Gray State, when will the Gray State movie be released? And Gray State The Rise responds, make sure to follow this page, Gray State, which is a different page. So there's another page that he's recommending people to, the Gray State page, which is the fictional movie. And David Crowley calls it a fictional movie. So I'm not trying to slight him by saying that this is a fictional movie. It is a fictional movie. In a separate comment, Gray State The Rise also wrote, and it's not an easy feat when trying to maintain the story's integrity without selling out and having such a small team. Who was part of that small team on December 25th? The team is still intact on December 25th. Who is it? This better be David posting here on December 25th, posting as Gray State The Rise. That had better be David Crowley. It should be. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. So anyways, I was a little worked up about it, and I needed to run this test anyway, and I figured it'd be a great time. So unless you guys have any other comments, I'm going to go back through this and just make sure I didn't miss anything. But oh, who's got the wine glass? Okay, nice. Stacy Wolbeck asks, is it possible the movie folks were making David have the friends sign off of the right? Oh, have the friends sign off the rights to the movie? Yes, Stacy, I think you're right on that. That's what it's all about. David could not move forward unless Danny August Mason and Mitch Heil signed away rights. I think you're right. I think that's clear. Good to see you too, brother. Let's see. If you were to make a movie about reality, you are about to be in trouble. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That could be. I think that's the biggest theory. And you know, if let's be honest, if David had made a romance movie and the same was accused of the same thing, would the police have treated it the same, or would they have treated it differently because of the movie that David was making? That's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thing to think about. Let's see. I never knew. Systematic says, I never knew about Gray State until Dennis Wise promoted a video about New World Order. What happened to David and his friend? That was so sad. It made me investigate. I wonder if I've seen that one. I've seen a lot of the New World Order ones. I'm not sure if I've seen that one, but let's see. The grease in Stacy is saying the grease in the frying pan still bothers me. Stacy, I think it's been brought up a few times, and I think they're right that it's coconut oil, right? It looks like coconut oil. Maybe it's, I mean, coconut oil, canola, it looks like canola oil to me, but coconut oil makes sense because that's all we see, and they are health nuts, I guess. Maybe olive oil or something like that too, but that would be another good test, just a very simple test. That should not take long. I could probably do that right now and see if it was coconut oil. Fry some coconut oil on a pan and see what it looks like and see if it looks similar. I'm glad that remember that the purple bowl, and I thought it was food or breadcrumbs or something like that. But yeah, I will expect. Yeah, thank you, Stacey. I would expect it to be cloudy and greasy too, and it's not. So maybe olive oil. But again, we'd have to look in those cabinets. I'd love to get a shot of the refrigerator to see what was in there. If they opened up the other cabinets, they should have opened up that fridge. Now there's some medicine vials, right? There's some capsules, some pills in there. I really want to know what those are, and that would be interesting to really see. So I'm curious to see, Stacy, how that test goes, and all of these tests. Everybody who's helping out with these tests, I think it's really great. It's, you know, and we're probably gonna get flack for it. Oh, it's not gonna solve me. It's not gonna do anything. Well, you know what? We gotta do something, and we gotta try. The kiwi in the bowl. I think in that. Remember that purple bowl? Let me finish my thought on the purple bowl. I guess I'm jumping around all over the place. This is what happens when I get in this writing mode. Probably got a few more months of just really hammering this stuff out, and I think I can have a pretty good first draft. But in that purple bowl, I think somebody pointed out that it looked like coffee grounds, and it does, because it looks like the coffee filters. Now, generally, you know, I don't know if you put the filters in there like that, but that to me does make sense too. So I'm totally open to all of that. But I do think that some of these things can help us get a timeline, a good timeline of when of how long this stuff was there. How long was this kitchen? This kitchen is an interrupted scene. How long was the interrupted scene going for? What are the indications for whatever it was, right? So just another thought. No, no, no. Let's see. Didn't notice that. Blue, can you tell me what you say when what you mean when you didn't notice that? I'm curious to see what it was, because to be honest, there's a lot of things I didn't notice, and probably still don't notice. That's why it's very important to get as many eyes on this stuff as possible. I'm gonna redo the one test over. Okay. I'd be very curious to see how that test goes. Let's see. Systematic. Greg, did you see Confessions of a Mafia Hitman? Joey tells the ugly truth. No, I haven't seen that one. I have not seen that one. But if it's good, if it's worth my time, if it's worth watching, I'll take a look at it. I love watching that stuff just to try to keep up. And there's so much of that going on. So yeah, keep me informed on that. Send me something. Looks like I had a little drop or something there. That's okay. Okay, so Stacy then thought it was kiwis. Oh, the kiwi. Yeah, the kiwis are next to the sink, and they're in a bowl too. I think they're in a bowl. They might be in one of those clear bowls that the kiwis come in. But the kiwi test was another really good test, and I'd be curious to see that. What would be very helpful is to try to create a radius, do like a radius search, go from where their house is, find out what stores they might have had in that area, any farmers markets, where did they get this produce, where did they get this stuff. As small and as, you know, much of a waste of time people might think that this is, nothing is, because nothing makes sense. So if nothing makes sense, then everything makes sense. If nothing makes sense, then everything is valid, and we just got to go wherever the truth takes us. It's going to take us in many different ways. I've already seen it. Obviously, me as a Christian, it could take me in a totally different way, and I pull that back. I got to pull that back and try to just look at it from just the bare bones of this case, to start with those documents, to really focus there. And what we're seeing is it was hard to focus on the documents early on, one, because we didn't have them, right? We only got secondhand, third-hand stuff. And the other reason was just because there were so many people bringing in these other theories and making up stuff and telling us to go down this road, and this is what really happened, and there was a pact, and no, there wasn't a pact, and David was going crazy. No, he wasn't going crazy. He went into a dark place. No, he didn't. You know, it's on and on and on, to the point where it's just like, okay, tune it all out, look at the documents, read the documents yourself, and then start with that. Make that your foundation. And I think that's really helped me, and it continues to help me. Then now that I'm going back and rereading a lot of this stuff that we did back in 2015, 2016, and I could see it, especially in 2015, because it's the last year, and that's why there's been so much focus on the last year that David, right before he died. They don't talk about it, and it's the most important year, and there's so much going on, and they're acting like David isn't talking with anybody. He's distancing himself, and that's it, which is true to a certain point, but not to everybody. I think that's still a very valid point. So let us see here. Yeah, there was kiwis in a bowl, absolutely. Oh, no. Crime scene interrupted. That's right. Yeah, grease in the pan. Yeah, the grease in the pan. I mean, I would think it looks like canola oil to me, but definitely we can. I was thinking coconut oil, but I think you're right. Coconut oil would be cloudier and would be whiter. But only one way to find out, right? So systematic. Okay, I will see that. I'll put that on my list. I should have some time later on this weekend. Hopefully, maybe Sunday I'll be able to watch that. So I think I get what you're saying. It's a hit, like the Philip Marshall case, kind of. Well, not kind of. To me, it looks like a hit, a big hit. But the hit could only happen with a cover up or with the right people in place, and that's where it gets to the point where you do have to put a spotlight on the Apple Valley police. And not all of them. It doesn't have to be all of them. It's the ones running the investigation. They need to be held under a microscope. Not me for asking questions. I should not be under a microscope. The ones who should be under a microscope are the ones who are accusing David Crowley. And that should have always been the case. And it really wasn't. It really was not. For asking any questions, we were the bad guys. You, we're the bad ones for asking questions because we don't believe what they tell us. We're the bad ones. That's how it works. Let's see. I know David Crowley is not guilty. I stand with him against this NWO, the New World Order. This has